So today I'm going to talk about something that I'm very passionate, which is all about soul searching. As you know, I'm a soul searching guide, or a soul guide for short. So I help people in this journey of soul searching. That's what I'm passionate about. Helping people to remember who they are at a soul level, to remember their power, to break the cycle, that is coming from generations, so they can provide a better mindset for their children. And that all comes from soul searching, from going through this spiritual journey of looking within for the answers of the questions that start lingering around when we feel this yearning to look, to search for our soul. And today I'm going to briefly explain what soul searching is and what signs might be showing up that tell you that you're ready to go on this journey, that you've been called to embark on a soul searching journey. Soul searching is usually propelled when persistent feelings of sadness, of despair, of confusion, of misdirection are present in life. And sometimes, not always, but sometimes they might be related with mental health or a recent traumatic experience. Feeling like frustrated, negative, even depressed from time to time and for a short period of time is completely normal, and we all go through it, through the ebbs and flows of our life, through our own cycles in life. We all go through it at some point in our lives. But the kind of feelings I'm referring to, and that are the key that propel you to go in a soul searching journey, is when those negative emotions and these negative feelings are continual, right? They stay for a longer time. They don't just, come up out of nowhere, like feeling sad for like no reason, but after a few hours or a few days you are okay, like you don't feel like it. But when it's continual and it persists, right, that is the key, one of the key signs that something is going on in there, right? And when these negative feelings that are persistent, they come from a place within, right? Rather than being instigated by outside sources. Because sometimes we know that we can become depressed or sad or frustrated with things that happen outside of us that we might not have control over. And that happens. That's part of being a human, of being being a soul being, having a human experience. But when your soul are calling you to go into this deep quest, those emotions are not instigator for what's happening around you. It comes from within you. It's like an inner knowing or a gut feeling, or just an intuition, a sense that is triggered at a core level And that is repetitive and brings to awareness your shadow self, parts or aspects of yourself that either you were not aware of or you kind of knew, but you cope without looking at it throughout your life, but suddenly you can't just ignore it. It's just repetitively coming to light, and you have no choice but to look into it. However, when it comes from this place within, you might find it really hard to pinpoint exactly where that negativity is coming from, or to pinpoint exactly what is missing, what is clouding certain aspects of your life, even clouding your thoughts, your logic. And there is this yearning, this urge, this feeling that you want to seek meaning and purpose in life. That it must be something else out there. That you weren't born just for this. It must be something. There must be a purpose for why you were born. There must be a meaning for what is happening around you, or what's happening in your life. And it's that urge to understand it, to look for the answers, that will propel you to go into this soul-searching journey. It is what guides you to navigate this journey, because it starts when you are starting to feel fed up with the negativity around you, or that is surrounding your life. And deep within, you crave like peace, you crave harmony, you crave balance in your life. It's just certain things that you thought you valued or you thought were important to you, all of a sudden they are not. You start valuing your own peace more. You start valuing being alone more, for example. You start valuing being in nature more, being in harmony with who you are and with other people, and not engaging in drama anymore. It just doesn't feel good anymore. And you start examining your life, being more aware of the things that don't align with your life anymore, that don't align with your personality anymore, that don't align with your values, with your beliefs anymore. Even values and beliefs that you had start shifting. They start shifting, and you just crave change. You don't know how, you don't know when. Sometimes you don't even know what really you want to change. But you just know deep down that something has to change. Something is missing, something is not working, something has to give in. You just want change. And I believe soul searching is one of the first awakenings that instigate us to embark on our spiritual journeys. It's one of the first things that open our hearts and our spirits to embark on this beautiful spiritual journey of remembering. When you do you start to do your soul searching, you start to recognize what meaning you want to add into your life. Yeah. And making the intention to create the version of reality that you wish to be a part of. Not what society, not what culture, conditioning, or whatever wants you to be part of, but what is that that you really want? What is that you really wish to? Yeah. And what is it that is really meaningful to you, whilst at the same time you are learning about yourself on a deeper level? The more you grow through this soul searching, the more you lean into the questioning, the deeper you go into knowing yourself. And that's the beauty of it. Maybe you start asking questions that you never did before, not on this level of consciousness. And that's why you go and you look for the true meaning of things. And some people, they realize that they desire more wealth, or that they desire a more grounded life. Other people crave happiness. Other people crave empathy and love and a sense of belonging and a sense of being meaningful relationships or having meaningful relationships in their lives. And some look like for change outside of themselves, in their culture, in their society, in their religious beliefs, in all of these ideals and expectations that comes from outside of them, whilst others look within their being to really understand what they desire, what they believe on, what they want to know, and what they want to change. And there is no right or wrong. There is no right or wrong of living your soul searching journey. Because what is important is to decide where and how you want to bring change into your life. And what does it mean to you? Just to you. Forget about other people. Forget about what other people say or want for you, or make you believe that you want. What does it really mean to you? Because each journey is individual. We know that. We are all in our own little journeys that are individual to us. However, at its core, we all share the same yearning. Right? Although we are all in our individual journeys, we all share the same mission of self-discovery. A self-discovery that allows us to remember who we are at a deep soul level, which is the entirety of our existence. Right? When we start to understand that we are more than just this vessel, right? That we are so much more of what we see in the mirror. That we are not just humans. That this is just not a body, but a body that our soul chose to be its vessel. And that within us there is this soul that doesn't have a shape. We might imagine it as being a light, a bright white light. We don't know, like, I don't know how you see it yourself, but to me, when I think about a soul, is what I see. I see this bright white light that can travel across dimensions, that can travel across time. And when we understand that we are so much more than this, we understand that our entire existence is who we are at a soul level, at souls, not humans with a body. Right? And I think that is the beauty of it. Because usually our souls urge us to embark on a soul searching journey for two reasons. Either you feel like you have lost an aspect of yourself, like I did, for example, when I lost my dad and I lost that identity, or what I identified with as being a daughter. So that aspect of myself, of my life, was lost. And that was one of the things that instigated my soul searching journey. So you might be there, you might feel like you have lost an aspect of yourself, or you never found a particular part of who you are. You know there's a hole there. You know that something is missing, but you just don't know what. And so your soul urges you to go through this soul searching journey so you can find it, so you can remember. It's not like find it. You're not going to find anything new. And that is a thing. Because if you understand and you believe that our entire existence is who we are at a soul level, you already have everything and you already know everything that you are here to know and what that you're here to do. So going on a soul searching journey is not for you to find anything new. It's for you to remember what you are here to do. It's for you to remember your gifts, your power. It's for you to remember who you are, what you already have. You're not going to find anything new, right? You will remember. And so when you feel like an aspect of you is missing or that you lost it, that's when you feel that urge even more to go and look for it. You might be attempting to rediscover long forgotten feeling, for example, or you might be attempting to dive into a hobby or a passion that used to light you up and no longer does. Or you might want to find a reason to live with meaning, to leave a legacy, an impact in this lifetime whilst we can. Whilst we are here, we might be looking into living with more meaning, leaving our footprint, leaving this world a better place than we found it. Right? So once you embark on your soul searching quest, other elements of the spiritual journey starts to happen. As I covered before, the soul searching journey is one of the first key steps that happen when we start our spiritual journey. And sometimes we don't even realize that we are going through it until much later, when we've done our soul searching on an unconscious level. And then we start to get another awareness of things. But once you do that, once you go through your soul searching journey, and you start to remember who you are, and you start to get the answers for all of these questions, other aspects, other elements of the spiritual journey starts to happen, such as healing, such as manifesting, such as conscious creativity, and even tuning into the energies around you. So all of these aspects start to like ignite in you, start to unravel, which is pretty amazing. And so I believe is really crucial in order to embody your soul searching journey. Is really crucial that you are able to live with the questions. As I keep saying, I believe the questions lead the quest. So if you're going through this journey, this quest, learning to live with the questions, which sometimes don't require an answer. Sometimes the questions are just there to awaken something in you, to disrupt a belief, to disrupt a thought, to ignite curiosity. Sometimes it's not finding the answer that is important. Sometimes what is important is when a question is able to make you reflect, to make you think, to make you ponder, right? And so being able to live with the questions in order to connect with the aspects of your inner self or your life that you've been deprived the most, that's what I find important. When we go through what is called the deprived soul, which is when we deprived our soul on an unconscious level of what it desires, of what it needs. And it might be material things, which for the soul is not really important, but is more in terms of feelings and spiritual growth. When we deprive our souls from that, when we are living through the lens of the ego rather than the lens of the soul, and we go through this deprived soul shadow per se, it's so important to, again, lean into the questions and connect with that shadow, with those shadow aspects of the inner self, those shadow aspects that you deprived yourself, you denied, you dismissed, you were disgusted, you were ashamed, you felt guilty, you felt it was wrong. And so you kind of didn't let your soul be authentic. You didn't let your soul show up as it is, right? And so searching for something that your soul feels and aligns with on a deep level is so important for reinstating joy back into your life. Because when you deprive your soul from what it needs and desires, you deprive it from joy. Right? So when you go through this soul searching journey and you remember who you are and you search for what brings your soul's joy, you're bringing it back into your life. And that is so powerful. And that's what we want, isn't it? Again, peace and harmony and joy and feeling love. That's what we are here for. And one of the big signs that indicates that you need to go on a soul searching journey and search for the meaning and how your soul feels is when you feel a disconnect between your action and your perceived reality. Meaning, when you let your ego make the decisions, and these decisions are driven by an instant pleasure or an instant stimulation, an instant validation or gratification, right? That's what the ego looks for, something that is instant. But it doesn't bring joy and fulfillment to your soul. And an example of this is when, for example, you want to buy something because you feel that's what you want and you need. So your ego is there driving you to believe that you need that you want that, and then you get it. And once you get it, that joy lasts for a very short period of time. Is not long lasting. And that shows a disconnect between what you perceive is the reality, what you perceive is that you want and you desire, and your action. But then the feeling is not long lasting. That tells there is a disconnect there, right? Once you ground and you understand how your soul feels and you decipher your soul meaning, then you can choose what is the best decision that is aligned with your spiritual journey. Not what you think is the best decision because your ego is looking for instant gratification. Is looking for adrenaline or pleasure, but then it doesn't last. So now I'm going to give you 3 very quick signs that show that you need to embark on a soul-searching journey. So when you spot, or I would like to invite you to close your eyes. And when I go through these 3, it's just 3 and they are very quick. When I go through these 3 signs, see what resonates the most with you. Feel it in your body. When you're listening to what I'm saying with your eyes closed, feel in your body if there is a contraction or an expansion, what it feels true to you. What you feel, yep, that's me, definitely me. Because this very session, this very moment that you're hearing this, at this very moment in time, being that you are live or on replay, it doesn't matter. It might be that it's months, years after I do this live and you're watching the replay. It doesn't really matter. What matters is this very moment that you're now hearing this might be just the sign that you needed to know, that your soul is trying to guide you to do your soul searching. So trust the guidance of your soul. Close your eyes and see what resonates with you. Sign number 1. You feel consistently tired or exhausted, which feels different from the typical tiredness. It's more like a persistent emotion that hangs over your aura and weighs you down. Sign number 2. A deep feeling of dissatisfaction about a career or a choice or a big move that you initially thought was going to be positive, but ended up not being what you expected, and you just don't feel fulfilled. Sign number 3. You are concerned with materialism and you feel negative about it. Although there is nothing wrong about wanting more wealth, nice things, or traveling, being overly attached to the material world can be a sign of the ego seeking gratification and never feeling satisfied. You can sense a false connection to who you are and what you are doing if you only strive for material things on an unconscious level to fill a void. Which one resonates with you? Feeling consistently tired, like a weight that you've been carrying around? Maybe you feel dissatisfied with something in your life that you thought was going to be a breakthrough and it isn't. Or you feel just negative about all the consumerism that's going on in your life because you feel that is not fulfilling you, is not bringing you joy to your soul. Maybe this was a sign. Nothing is a coincidence. I don't believe in coincidence. And maybe this was a sign, the sign that you needed. Maybe to start leaning into the questions. So once you resonated with one of the 3 signs that I just gave, maybe journal about it and ask yourself questions that go deeper why you feel, for example, tired, or they'll go deeper about why you felt an experience or a choice was going to be amazing and then why it didn't felt that amazing. What expectations were you holding on to? What is lacking there? Why you don't feel satisfied? And then for the number 3, why do you feel negative about wealth or traveling or getting nice things? Why do you feel that it doesn't fulfill you when you get those things? Why do you feel you need those things in the first place to feel fulfilled? What is it that your soul is seeking at the moment? Why is there a full sense of connection between who you are and what you're doing? What are the signs? What is the pattern that keeps repeating? Why are you trying to fill a void? What is the feeling behind the action? Maybe ponder, for example, go back to a time where you achieve a goal, or again, you buy something that you really wanted but then you don't feel satisfied about it. What are the emotions there? Before you get it, when you get it, and after you get it. And notice the discrepancy, notice the disconnection there. Go deeper. Because this form of consumerism and I would say escapism, like when you're trying to escape something, might be masking an inner child wound of needing to prove yourself worthy, needing to prove your worth, your value, to prove that you're deserving, that you are enough. So maybe there is a root cause there. Maybe go deeper and ask the questions. And even if you don't have the answers, remember, sometimes it's not about getting the answers. Sometimes it's about asking the right questions that will make you reflect and ponder on things. Sometimes that's what is enough. Sometimes that is the one little thing that will bring the shift. The trust decks are still looking for a new home. It's a tool, it's a spiritual tool that can actually ask you the right questions through your journey, through the stages in your journey that you are. Because it follows the pathway, the trust pathway. T for truth, where you have cards that explore, I'm reading the box, cards that explore your story and the truth behind it. R is for reflection, cards that dive into the meaning of the patterns that impact the path your soul is living. U is for unravel, cards that support deep inner healing. S is for soul, cards that activate enlightenment and soul expansion. And thrive, T for thrive, cards that support you in aligning your reality to your soul's purpose. I have 2 decks available. They are ready to be posted, and it's a huge value. And you can pay in installments. You can pay in 3 installments, interest-free, with Klarna. So you can treat yourself and just start your soul searching journey. Especially if one of these signs show up for you, trust that you are ready. You are absolutely ready to embark on your soul searching journey and to live in the questions. And this deck will offer you 50 soul inquiries, 50 questions to make you ponder, to make you reflect, to make you heal from the past traumas or the conditioning that you've been living on, and remember who you are at a soul level.